Hey folks, welcome back to Tenta Outdoors. My name is Alan from season 10 of Alone. Now speaking of season 10 is now old news. Why? Because just yesterday, the History Channel released the 10 contestants for season 11 and the premiere date for episode 1. And that date is June 13th. That's a Thursday night, same as last year. They also released the location. We're in Canada again this year, in the Northwest Territories, in a place called the Mackenzie Delta in the Inuvik region of the Northwest Territories. It's in the Arctic Circle and it's the most northern location yet. So folks, I took some notes on the History Channel website last night and I'm going to introduce each contestant from season 11, tell a little bit about them, show their pictures, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give my prediction for who I think is going to get the win for season 11. So the first contestant is Peter. Okay, now Peter is from a small town in British Columbia, not too far away from where I live actually. His profession is a librarian. Now his bio didn't have a whole bunch of information, so there's not a lot to go off here, but he developed his love for the bush and outdoors when he read a book about bushcraft when he was a kid. Go figure, he's a librarian. So Peter is into jiu-jitsu. I hope I don't make Peter mad. He's into chess, reading, and woodworking. And that's all we have to go on for Peter. Next up, we have Michaela, another Canadian from Saskatchewan. Now, if you remember from last year, Saskatchewan is where season 10 was filmed, who has spent her entire life off-grid. So Michaela went to school and studied horticulture and biology. Currently, Michaela is studying the traditional medicines of the Cree people. She makes her living as an adventure guide and she does have extensive experience hunting and trapping, which is good news for her. Maybe not the other contestants, but she sees this experience as her first long independent trapping season. That's Michaela. Next, we have a fellow named Timber, who's 35 years old. I love his name, Timber, but I know what's going to happen. Whenever his name comes up on the screen of my television, when I'm watching the show, I'm going to have to yell out, Timber! I know I'm going to do it. And I know my wife is going to get annoyed with me, but I won't be able to control myself. So Timber is a humanitarian aid worker who also grew up off-grid. So Timber spent his youth on his trap line or practicing his bushcraft skills. So Timber is a hunter and also teaches outdoor skills. So next up we have Cubby, who is 33 years old, and he is from Missouri. So Cubby grew up with his brothers. He did a lot of fishing, catching frogs, turtles, and crawdads. Now, as an adult, he did a whole bunch of different things, and he had a hard time figuring out exactly what he wanted to do. Unfortunately, he lost one of his good friends to cancer, and after that moment, he kind of came to some realizations in life and made a huge transition, and he ended up selling everything he had, bought a camper, and him and his wife moved to Missouri to start homesteading. Cubby also created his own traditional archery company, and he's a full-time bowyer and homesteader. Next up we have William, who's 49 years old, and he's from Labrador, Canada. Now, if you remember from season 9, that's where it was filmed. So William grew up learning how to hunt, fish, trap, and forage. So he was raised in a small island community in a remote area of Labrador, and he learned how to survive in a very tough environment. I kind of like this guy. Next up we have Jake. Jake is 42 years old and Jake is a falconer. So if you don't know what a falconer is someone who trains and works with falcons, obviously. So he's the guy that's got that big leather thing on his arm. He's like, this big falcon lands on his arm. He gives it a command. He's like, it takes off. It can either hunt for you or you can train it to like scare birds out of an area. It's pretty cool. Falconer. So Jake grew up in Greater Yellowstone and he learned how to be a very good hunter, a fly fisherman, and a woodsman. So Jake has worked with youth before, teaching them survival skills, and he's also a die-hard traditional bow hunter. So next up we have Dub. Dub is a 44-year-old from Michigan. Maybe he'll get the dub. Maybe that's a sign. So Dub is a wilderness skills practitioner, is a fly fisherman and a hunting addict. and he's actually guided for both those activities. Dub's long history of hunting, fishing, and trapping spans over generations. Next up we have Sarah, who's 48 years old from Alaska. Now, she doesn't have a lot of outdoor experience as a child or as a youth, but she fell in love with the outdoors and gained all her experience after she met her husband, who is like an outdoor fanatic. So in her bio, she talks about how her husband transformed her from an anti-hunting vegetarian to an outdoor enthusiast. Currently, Sarah is running a remote Alaskan fishing lodge. So next up we have Isaiah. Isaiah is a 36-year-old game warden from West Virginia. Why did I just think of John Denver? West Virginia, got it. So first and foremost, Isaiah is a family man, but he loves everything outdoors. He loves camping, hiking, fishing, hunting, and bushcraft. He also serves in the Air National Guard in West Virginia. Next up we have Dusty. Dusty's profession is a welder. He's 36 years old from Arkansas. So Dusty was introduced to the outdoors by his grandparents. His grandparents taught him how to garden, hunt, and work off the land. Spending his childhood in the woods helped form his dream of becoming a true mountain man. So after reading everyone's bio, it's clear that season 11 has a lot of people with a lot of hunting and fishing experience, which could lead to some interesting food procurement. Maybe there'll be a big game kill. In the preview, they did show some monster pike, so I'm looking forward to this season and seeing what transpires. So folks, I'm gonna make my pick, and I'm only gonna choose one. I got no plan B. I do have a couple other favorites, but I'm not gonna say it because that's kind of cheating. I'm just gonna pick one and I'm gonna stick with it. And of course, I need to pick a Canadian. I'm picking William, the 49-year-old from Labrador, the fishing boat captain. I'm going with William, 49 years old. Let the old guy show him how it's done again. Let's go. Hey folks, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Just a reminder, I will be doing recap videos for each episode of season 11. We'll see you next time.